The 2024 presidential election season is already heating up.
It most certainly is. Former Republican governor of Arkansas, Asa Hutchinson, has joined an increasingly crowded field of GOP candidates, posturing himself as a Republican unafraid to criticize former President Trump. And the man himself joins us now. Governor, welcome, and thanks a lot for being back on GMA3.
It is wonderful to be with you this morning. Thank you.
Good to have you here. Let's talk numbers if we can. According to 538, you are currently polling at just under 1%, with President Trump at over 52%. What's your response to people who say this is a long shot for you? And how do you convince Republicans that you are the man for the job and who are possibly hoping for change?
Well, thank goodness it's early in the campaign still, and there's a lot of time left. But it's an opportunity for me as governor for 8 years, someone with federal experience, to showcase that I have the answers to the challenges that we face. And so it's a long campaign. We're starting here. I expect to move up. And I also believe that Trump's numbers are inflated now. And I think that people are looking for new leadership and a new direction. America needs somebody that brings out the best of our country and doesn't appeal to our worst instincts. And that, to me, is leadership. That's what I want to be able to provide. And the depth of experience that I have at federal and state level, consistent conservative record, but also solving problems. That's what governors do. That's what I've done. So I'll be going to Iowa when we finish here. Excited to be in that state.
I heard you mention that you think Trump's numbers are inflated, but when you look at the numbers, I have to ask you this question. You supported him in 2016 and 2020. If he secures the Republican nomination, will you support him in 2024?
Well, I don't expect that he'll be the nominee, and I do expect that I will be supporting the nominee. I hope that it's me. I want to be able to participate in the debate, and I expect one of those requirements is that you'll have to support the nominee of the party. I always have done that. I'm a strong Republican, but now's not the right time for Donald Trump and his leadership in the future. We need somebody that can actually win in November, that can bring in independents and suburban voters, that can appeal to the best of our country and help bring us together. That's what we need so badly.
Governor, President Biden is expected to be with congressional leadership later today to discuss the debt limit there. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has warned that if a deal is not reached by June 1st, the U.S. could default for the first time in history. What's your solution?
Well, we can't default. That's not something the United States should do or has ever done. So we need to make sure we get a deal done that extends the debt limit. I think Speaker McCarthy has approached it well, got the House to pass a plan. We need to have President Biden come back and say, this is a plan that I will accept for reducing our incredible spending at the federal level. That needs to be done. They ought to be able to reach a deal. If you had two business people go in there, they could meet for 30 minutes and they could cut a deal. And that's what we've got to do to make sure we pay our debts.
You say as president that you would sign a federal abortion ban with exceptions because you believe, quote, that's where the American public is. However, as governor, you said the issue should be left to states. So why the change of opinion?
Well, I still believe it will be left to the states because I don't think you'll get a national consensus and have supermajorities, House, Senate, and the White House. So I expect it to be left in the states. And that's what we fought for 40 years. But I'm pro-life, and if there's reasonable exceptions there, reasonable limitations, I would sign a national bill. But I expect it'll be left in the states. And so, you know, New York will be able to determine its own future on this issue from a health care standpoint. New Hampshire will. And I think that's exactly where we'll wind up for the very long future ahead.
All right, Governor, let's talk about the issues of guns and mass shootings in this country. There have already been 225 mass shootings so far this year. You've worked with the NRA in the past. You actually spoke at the convention last month. Are there any federal gun reforms that you would support if you become president?
Well, I supported what the effort was with Senator Cornyn and Senator Murphy, I believe it was, where they tightened up one of the gaps that they saw in terms of background checks and looking after the Uvalde shooting as to what we could do better. And so you can look at bipartisan solutions, but right now it's going to have to be around the area of mental health, which really has driven so many of the shootings that we have seen. So I hope that we can make progress in addressing the mental health crisis in our country. We've done some of that in Arkansas through our crisis stabilization units, but that's something that we ought to do. Continue, obviously, to harden or protect our facilities so that we're safe and our children can safe. Parents need to know when they drop a child off at a school that that child is going to be safe.
But you also said you're open to the conversation surrounding AR-15s and the danger that they propose in this country.
Well, I don't believe the answer that we're going to be able to get through Congress and that I would support would be further restrictions on citizens owning firearms. So that, to me, is not the solution that we need to address. It is what's in people's heart, what's the consequences of it, and how we can do the preventive measures to keep that from happening. That's something we can work on together, and I believe it can be done in a bipartisan way.
All right, presidential candidate and former governor of Arkansas, Asa Hutchinson. Always good to have you on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco.
All right.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.